Hello guys, my name is Rafi Oshontarai and I'm one of the students doing WDD230 and I come from Zimbabwe. And my presentation today is going to be about Chrome development tools. Now let's jump right into it. I'll share my screen, go to my browser, click share right here. So we're going to be using the BYU Idaho homepage as our example. And how do you access development tools? You just right click your screen right there. Just right click and click inspect. Right. Now you'll find that we have a number of tabs here. These tabs are going to be what we're going to be talking about and a little bit of additional tools that we use to check our CSS and all that. As we get into the video, we'll get to see this. But let's begin with the elements part. The elements part, they get to select specific elements on our page. Right. For example, the body class, that's that whole thing. Maybe the head, you see that it's highlighted there. So as I just go through all these elements, they're highlighted and shown by the page right there. So as I click here, it showed right there, right? And then on this right part, okay, something about the elements. The elements, this is your HTML, right? But it's not the HTML that you write. It's the DOM structure of the HTML that we see here. It's different from when you right click your screen and then you click view page source. Now the page source, this is the HTML that you write, right? But when using development tools, you just get the DOM structure. All right. So let's get back into that. Okay, we inspect that, the elements. And then on the right side of the elements, there's something that we can actually use to adjust our screen. We can actually uncheck some content. And you find as we do this, the changes that will happen on our page. I'm trying to find one that will actually have effect so that we see this happen. Oh yeah, right there. So our text align, if we untick that, you see that the screen moves to the left. But then if we take it, it moves to the right, I mean, and then if we check that, it moves back in position onto the right, right? So this is the elements part. And then console. Console is where all the errors show. Errors in our JavaScript mainly. We can actually use console for debugging. And there are parts, we can actually choose specific parts to our website that we want to target. This targets the top. I don't quite remember what exactly happens here, but then from what I read, it makes adjustments to specific parts of the page, right? If there is a problem with certain images that are not displaying, they show here. I don't know what exactly is happening here. It says there's a type error, and then it takes us directly to where the errors are and where adjustments need to be made, right? Now that is console. Now from console, we also get into sources. Sources, this is where all the assets for our website are, right? You find here, this is the CSS, I suppose. No, this is the JavaScript. This is a JavaScript that is used for this particular website. And let's see here, this is the index file. You see, this is the HTML, the other HTML that we looked at when we initially clicked on view source. This is the source of the document. So all the assets, whatever images you use, whatever styles you use, your CSS, your JavaScript, your JSON files, and all that, this is where we find them. These are the sources of our information, right? And right here, we have threads. This is mainly JavaScript, and JavaScript does not have threads. So mainly this is just web workers that we have here working. These tools, if we have a breakpoint in our JavaScript, this is what you can use to maneuver as you debug, right? Now, these are tools that we have on the sources, right? And then we also have other parts like network, performance, memory, application. I don't really know a lot about those, but this much I know. There's also something interesting that I learned recently. You can choose how you want your screen to be displayed, whether you want it to iPhone Pro Max, iPhone SE. This is for mobile, right? And you have an option to choose whatever device that you want to be using. Um, you can also choose the view, whether you want it to be horizontal or vertical. This is vertical, right? And then this is how you test for your coding. Mainly, I guess we can call it syntax. You right click and go to more tools and then CSS overview, right? And then you capture the overview. Okay. Now, this gives us a summary on mainly colors. You know how you have backgrounds? You want backgrounds that show the text that you have on your website. You want things to be readable. And also, you want to be inclusive, right? You want to be inclusive in your website. Maybe there are people that are colorblind or so. Your colors should be able to accommodate such people or everyone. We should be able to use it. You see here, these are areas that have to do with the colors. So maybe specifically we can target the colors, about the colors. So it doesn't qualify for double A, no triple A. So these colors need adjustments, right? For example, the white and the blue here, if that ought to be adjusted, um, might not be clear to the viewer or might be straining. You remember those lows that we used last week, like the feed slow. You know, you mustn't be fatigued when using a particular website, so everything must be intact. And then we also have the fonts info. You also check whether the font size that you're using is accommodating for everyone and will not frustrate them. Because one thing about our users, as humans interact with computers, if they get frustrated by a certain service or website, they ditch it, and we don't want that when you have whatever website it is that you design, and you expect people to use these things, but if they're not able to, then they leave. We do not want that, so we try and design our websites to be up to standard. And then I'm not sure how these work, but then we also have media queries here. And then we also have unused declarations. So if you have declarations in your CSS that your website doesn't use, this checks for them. You might need to take those out of your code or maybe comment them out in the case that you need to use them. But basically, guys, this is the two. These are the Chrome development tools that we use to evaluate our website, mainly our code. And then also something interesting. I hope I'm not overlapping. It, there are extensions that can actually test for that can test our websites. There is a web developer extension that we have. It validates your CSS. It also validates your HTML. If it's a local file that you're using, maybe you just viewed on browser from your Visual Studio Code, you can just validate local HTML. Or right here, we can validate the HTML. Let's continue. I hope it permits me to get in there. Oh, verifying that I'm human. I guess I am human. Right. Oh, What does this say? Okay. So all these are errors that the debugger has caught, right? HTML or adjustments. Mostly these are syntax errors that we have, and there are some adjustments that we need to make. And then there are also recommendations and warnings that we are given that it's better to use. Let's see what this one says. Icon radio was here from that. But mainly it's all errors and warnings and parts of our code that need adjustments. And this is how you can check for things, right? And then using the same tool, you can also validate your CSS. Oh, this is Jigsaw. I hope it lets me in. My signal seems to be twitching. I hope it's not just network. My network seems just fine. Okay, here we are. Right. It says we found the following errors, 235 errors. Sometimes you cannot fix all of these errors. There'll always be errors out here. But then these are just development tools that will help us catch those errors that are significant. Maybe something important is not running. Maybe the video on this page is not working. You might want to look into that and see what's keeping it from working. And then you go fix that after you find the error. And all these tools are meant to help us enhance our websites and to help them be up to standard and usable, and so they perform in a way that we want them to, and to keep our end users happy. This is the front end. We mainly use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript only for front end web development, and this is how we test the tools. Well, thank you guys for watching. Yes, in case there are any questions, I'll be free to answer those that you have and those that I can. But thank you so much for watching and listening and letting me present. Happy learning, guys. Thank you.